A show duct taped together by broken promises and hopes and dreams. Recorded in the corner of Wade's dirty bathroom. Get ready for WMBT.
We're handed fear before we even understand what fear is as kids. So many experiences can be ripped away from us because they just might be inconvenient to our parents, or they're protecting us from death. I'm mostly referring to the simple ones, like playing with an egg. That might get dropped, so it's taken away to avoid the potential cleanup duty. So the fear of the egg potentially being dropped is handed down to the rugrat. However, what if it did accidentally get dropped and it stimulated inquisitive questions like, what's that goo that came out of the egg? Why did it break? You know, physics, gravity, a little bit of biology, and no fear. Another common one is, you better study and do well on this test or there will be consequences. Shouldn't learning be exciting along with the process of failing, which affords the opportunity of improvement? Instead, fear is used as sort of an excuse to instill discipline, which does kind of make sense on some levels. But at what price long term? So we internalize these fears. Mistakes equals disaster. Failure equals shame. Curiosity equals risky. Twisted conditioning that follows us into adulthood, which is where we begin. Fear is healthy. It's necessary. It's part of being human. It keeps us from walking into traffic or taking party favors from strangers. But fear is also routinely misused by parents, teachers, and very strategically by naughty marketers trying to sell us stuff. So instead of fear protecting us, it leads us to buying crap we don't really need, and even stops us from doing things that could potentially stimulate personal growth, learning. Marketers understand fear at a professional level. You're aging, you're fat, you're ugly, buy this, fix that. Just correct yourself, whether there's truly a problem or not. Fear creates urgency. Urgency creates action. Action creates revenue. And just like that, a survival mechanism becomes a sales strategy. Fear started as something that kept us alive. Now it can enslave us. Drug dealers, aka the pharmaceutical industry, love using fear to sell their wares. It's a great revenue driver. In 2025, the industry made $1.7 trillion, more than most countries' GDPs. The industry as a whole has zero interest in people being healthy because, well, it's bad for business. Fear drives the doctor visits and fear drives the prescription drug use. Prolonged treatment with monthly billing is way better for business than curing us. And they, of course, get away with this thanks to their lobbying power in Washington, which is strong enough to get politicians to do virtually anything, even push their own mom in front of a moving train. It's not funny. A classic case some years back was when the so-called non-addictive drug oxycodone was rammed through the approval process and ended up killing hundreds of thousands of poor people due to massive overprescribing and mislabeling. This was in part thanks to FDA official Dr. Curtis Wright, who didn't go to jail, but actually ended up leaving the FDA and getting a $400,000 a year job from the manufacturer of oxycodone, Purdue. Can't make this shit up, folks. And of course, the industry continues to get away with things like this and happily continues to encourage us to take pills that may cause a little anal leakage as a cheeky side effect. The environmental industry also brings in trillions of dollars a year, and they also love using fear to raise money to save the planet. And they're good at recruiting impressionable young people by telling them that the world's about to end if we don't stop Fred from diddling his belly button. Sadly, though, they haven't yet learned that these folks, along with world leaders, have been crying environmental wolf for decades.
7 years ago, in a real inconvenient truth, former Vice President Al Gore once famously claimed the North Pole ice cap would be ice-free by now due to climate change. But scientists say the ice cap has actually expanded and is now twice the size of Alaska.
Now, I could play clips like that one all day long, but that would be boring. And of course, climate change is real. It's been changing for different reasons for millions of years, for God's sake. And I'm not saying looking after the planet isn't a great idea. Of course it is. I'm just saying that there is an entire environmental industry that doesn't exactly have the planet's best interest at heart all the time. I mean, we're even told that driving anything other than an electric car leads to the end of the world, as though lithium mining is fine and electric cars don't use plastics that require oils and energy for manufacturing and power. Historically, fear has always been useful. From witch hunts, war propaganda, economic panics, movements built on "they're coming" and "act now." For example, the Y2K panic in 1999 had folks stockpiling supplies over doomsday scenarios that never happened, boosting sales of survival gear and everything else. There were even times when radioactive water was sold as a health tonic because people feared weakness and aging. When fear spreads quickly, reasoning slows down. That's not conspiracy, that's psychology. Fear narrows your vision until all you see are threats. Fear isn't the enemy. Living in fear is. Consider embracing the day ahead, for tomorrow is not promised. And remember, life's too short to be worrying about nonsense.
Wait, Martin's video thingy.
Oh, God.
Don't subscribe.
UMBT.